Let me tell you something that will sting. You are not the center of anyone's world, not your friends, not your co-workers, and sometimes, not even your family. And stay with me until the end of this video, because you will walk away with a truth most people don't discover until it's too late. The kind of truth that will free you from the chains of caring too much about what others think. For most of your life, you've lived under an illusion. The belief that people are watching you, caring deeply about what you do, dress, appear, and remembering the details of your successes and failures. You think they notice when you stumble. You think they're silently judging when you make mistakes. You think they care as much about your story as you do. But here's the brutal truth that only becomes clear after 40. No one was ever watching as closely as you imagined. When you're young, this illusion controls you. You waste hours wondering if people are gossiping about you, replaying your embarrassments in their minds. You hesitate to take risks because you're terrified of being judged. You play safe, trying to impress an audience that doesn't exist. And yet, when you look back decades later, you realize those fears were meaningless. Nobody cared. They were too busy worrying about themselves. The so-called love and care you thought surrounded you. Most of it was shallow. Friends cared when it was convenient. Partners loved until circumstances shifted. Even family members, the ones you thought would always be there, sometimes drifted away into their own lives. What you once believed was deep concern for you was often nothing more than people projecting their own needs. That's why crossing into your 40s feels like an awakening. You begin to see through the performance. You stop assuming people are keeping score of your life. You realize your mistakes, your failures, your heartbreaks, the moments you thought everyone remembered, have already been forgotten. The spotlight you imagined shining on you was never there at all. And this realization cuts in two ways. At first, it feels lonely, even bitter. You wonder, did no one truly care about me? But slowly, you come to see the gift hidden inside this truth, because if no one is really watching, then you are free. Free to stop performing, free to stop living for approval, free to live by your own values instead of wasting decades trying to win applause that never existed. Love and care in life are rare, rarer than you want to believe when you're young. But when you do find them after seeing through all the illusions, you'll value them more deeply. Because you'll know they're not based on convenience or shallow attention. They're real. They're the exception, not the rule. So remember this. Most people are too consumed by their own lives to spend much time thinking about yours. The crowd you thought was watching is busy wrestling with their own fears, doubts, and failures. And when you finally understand this after 40, life feels different. The burden lifts, the chains break. The truth is harsh, but freeing. No one really cared as much as you thought, and that's exactly why you should stop living for them, and finally start living for yourself. When you're young, your life feels full of people. Friends fill your weekends, co-workers invite you out, your phone buzzes constantly. You imagine these connections will last forever, that the people laughing with you in your 20s will still be around in your 40s, cheering you on through every chapter of life. But if you live long enough, you discover another harsh truth. Most friendships and relationships are temporary. At first, you don't notice the drift. People get jobs, move cities, start families. Messages become less frequent. Promises to catch up soon fade into silence. Then one day you realize you haven't spoken to someone you once called your best friend in years. The truth is painful, but undeniable. Many of the people you thought were permanent were only passing through. Why? Because most relationships are built on circumstances, not on unshakable loyalty. In school, your friendships are tied to the classroom. In your 20s, they revolve around nights out, shared apartments, or the struggle of just starting out. In your 30s, they shift toward work connections or parenting circles. But when those circumstances change, so do the relationships. The laughter fades, the closeness disappears, and the bond you swore was unbreakable turns into nothing more than an old memory. It's the same with love. Early relationships feel eternal. You believe you found the one. You imagine building a life together, but time has a way of exposing cracks. Some couples survive the storms, many don't. Love fades, or it changes into something unrecognizable. Routine, obligation, or even resentment. And by the time you're in your 40s, you've likely seen enough to know love is not guaranteed, and care is not forever. This truth can be devastating, especially when you realize how much energy you once poured into people who no longer exist in your life. You think back to the sacrifices you made, the nights you stayed up consoling them, the times you put their needs above your own. And now, silence, distance, maybe even betrayal. It forces you to ask, were they ever truly mine, or were we simply sharing the same road for a while? But here's the deeper lesson. Understanding that relationships are temporary doesn't have to make you bitter. It can make you wiser. Instead of expecting permanence, you begin to cherish presence. You stop assuming someone will always be around and start appreciating them while they are. Thus, you learn to hold people with open hands instead of clenched fists. By the time you're 40, you understand that the majority of people in your life will come and go. A rare few will stay. The lifelong friends, the partners who weather every storm. Those relationships are priceless, and they shine brighter because of how rare they are. But for the rest, you learn to let go without bitterness, because clinging to what has already drifted away only deepens the wound. This is why older people seem calmer when it comes to friendships. They don't chase, they don't beg, they don't force connections that are already fading. They've seen too much to believe in forever. They know people come into your life for seasons, and when that season ends, it's better to release than to cling. So here's the truth that hits after 40. Most relationships were never built to last. They served their purpose, gave you joy, taught you lessons, and then disappeared. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner you can focus on the few people who are truly worth your time. The rest? Let them go, because if they were meant to stay, they would have. When you're young, success feels like the ultimate prize. You imagine that once you achieve it, once you get the promotion, the title, the house, the recognition, everything will finally make sense. You'll feel respected, admired, maybe even loved. So you chase it relentlessly. You sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice peace. Sometimes you even sacrifice relationships, all in the belief that the applause at the end will make the pain worth it. But by the time you reach your 40s, another brutal truth settles in. Success isn't what you thought it was, and status means far less than you imagined. Here's why. In your 20s and 30s, you crave validation. You want to prove you're capable. You want people to see you as important. Every accomplishment feels like a badge, proof that you matter. But as you get older, you start to notice something strange. Nobody else is keeping track. Your big promotion, people forget about it a week later. Your impressive purchase? It excites others for a moment, then disappears into silence. Even the awards or recognition you thought would define you soon gather dust, forgotten by everyone but you. And here's the hardest part. Even you stop caring. The goals that once felt like life or death lose their grip. You realize you sacrificed precious time, energy, even love, just to impress people who weren't really watching. The same illusion you had about care and attention. Success, you discover, is a moving target. You hit one milestone, and instead of fulfillment, a new desire rises. You keep running, keep chasing, but the finish line keeps moving. By 40, many people face the painful truth. Status is an illusion, and recognition is temporary. The world moves on quickly. Someone younger, hungrier, and cheaper replaces you at work. Your achievements fade into background noise. The people you wanted to impress barely remember what you did, and you're left asking yourself, was all of this really worth it? But there's a strange liberation in this realization. Because once you accept that external success doesn't give lasting fulfillment, you stop chasing it blindly. You start asking deeper questions. What actually matters to me? What gives me meaning, not just applause? That's when life takes on a different texture. You realize that the real reward was never the recognition. It was the growth, the discipline, the strength you built along the way. People in their 40s often laugh at how desperately they once tried to look successful. The cars, the clothes, the job titles, None of it mattered as much as they thought. What matters instead are the quiet victories, the ability to sleep at night knowing you lived with integrity, the peace of building something that truly matters to you, even if the crowd never cheers. So here's the truth about success after 40. It doesn't make you whole, and it doesn't make you loved. If you were empty before, status won't fill you. If you were insecure before, no amount of recognition will fix it. Chasing validation from the world is a game you can't win, because the world isn't watching as closely as you thought. In the end, success is valuable only when it aligns with your own values. Otherwise, it's just another illusion, one more trap to waste your time in. And when you see this truth clearly after 40, you stop chasing shadows and start chasing meaning. When you're young, you feel invincible. Late nights, skipped meals, endless energy. You assume your body will always forgive you. You push yourself to extremes, testing limits, ignoring aches, pretending you're untouchable. You see older people and think, they're slowing down too soon. I'll never be like that. But after 40, the illusion of invincibility fades, replaced by a quiet, unavoidable truth. Your body will not wait for you. Your health is not endless. It starts subtly, a twinge in your back, a longer recovery after a night out. A doctor casually mentions cholesterol, blood pressure, or something mildly concerning. You notice your energy isn't what it used to be. Small injuries linger. Sleep no longer fully restores you. And then you remember all the times you pushed your body without care, believing time and youth would cover every mistake. The brutal truth sets in. You are mortal, and you've already spent decades underestimating the cost of neglect. The realization is jarring because it hits all at once. You see friends falling ill unexpectedly, careers stalling not because of talent, but because the body can no longer sustain the same pace. You realize that no wealth, no title, no connection can reverse the toll of years of carelessness. Time is relentless, and the body will always catch up. This is why the 40s often feel like a turning point. You start valuing your health not as an afterthought, but as a priority. You understand that small habits, sleep, diet, exercise, mental rest, are no longer optional. They are survival. The careless mindset of youth gives way to a disciplined, intentional approach to life. But this awareness also forces reflection. You begin to measure life differently. Time feels more precious because you realize that every day wasted isn't just an opportunity lost, it's a part of your limited reserve of vitality. You see aging not as a distant event, but as a creeping reality shaping every decision you make. The clock isn't ticking for anyone else, it's ticking for you. And mortality isn't just physical, it's psychological too. You start confronting the truth that the dreams you postponed, the relationships you neglected, the self you didn't nurture, these losses are cumulative. They are not hypothetical. They are real, and some of them cannot be recovered. Yet there's a strange liberation in this truth. Understanding your limits gives you focus. It forces you to prioritize what truly matters. The trivial anxieties, the petty dramas, the shallow pursuits. Suddenly, they fall away. You learn to invest energy where it counts, in meaningful relationships, in purposeful work, in your own well-being. So the lesson that hits after 40 is clear. Time is finite, your body is fragile, and every choice matters more than you ever realized. Life does not forgive wasted hours, neglected health, or ignored growth. And those who understand this truth start living with intention, making each day count, not because they fear the end, but because they finally understand its value. The 40s don't just remind you that you're aging. They show you what it truly means to live with awareness, to respect your body, and to honor your time before it's too late. By now, you've seen the truths that many don't face until midlife. The illusion that people truly care, the fading of friendships and relationships, the emptiness of status and recognition, and the unforgiving reality of your own body and time. Life has a way of teaching lessons slowly, sometimes painfully, often without warning. And after 40, those lessons crystallize into wisdom. The kind that is invisible to the young, but undeniable once you've lived enough to see clearly. The central truth is simple, yet profound. Life is fleeting, people are transient, and meaning is something you create, not something you inherit. The applause, the attention, the validation, these are illusions. The real value comes from how you choose to live, whom you choose to care for, and how you use the time you have left. At this stage, regrets often focus on what wasn't done rather than what was. People wish they had loved more deeply, invested in themselves more intentionally, and let go of illusions sooner. They realize that living for others' approval, chasing status, or clinging to fleeting relationships only delays the discovery of genuine fulfillment. The harshest truths are often the most freeing. When you accept them, you begin to live differently. Here's the gift of life after 40. You no longer chase what doesn't matter. You stop wasting energy on people who won't be there, on accolades that fade, on distractions that steal your attention. You start choosing deliberately. The people you spend time with, the work you pour your heart into, the values you embody. You start investing in yourself because you finally understand that nothing else is as important. And while this might feel sobering, it's also incredibly empowering. Knowing the illusions, seeing the patterns, understanding the limits, this knowledge is a form of freedom. You're no longer bound by the naive expectations of youth. You can focus on what truly lasts: authenticity, integrity, love that endures, and the quiet joy of living deliberately. If this resonates with you, there's something important to consider. Wisdom grows when it's shared. This channel exists to uncover truths that are often hidden or ignored, to help you see life clearly before it's too late. If you found value in what you've heard today, subscribing ensures you never miss the next insight, the next truth that might change the way you see your own life. And I promise, every video here is crafted to challenge the illusions that waste your time and energy, so you can live intentionally. Remember, life doesn't wait for anyone. People may not watch, friends may drift, success may fade, and your body reminds you that time is finite. But the clarity you gain after 40, the wisdom of seeing the illusions for what they are, is yours to hold and yours to act on. So choose deliberately. Care deeply for what matters. Let go of what doesn't. Live for yourself, because the only approval that truly counts is your own. And if you want to continue uncovering these truths together, hit subscribe, not for fleeting entertainment, but for the chance to see life more clearly, one insight at a time. The truth is harsh, but understanding it is freedom. And freedom is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Here's the truth most people don't realize until 40. Time is finite. People aren't watching as closely as you think, and status won't make you happy. So start early. Invest in yourself, value genuine relationships, and stop chasing approval. Live deliberately, not for applause, but for your own growth. The lessons you ignore today will hit harder tomorrow, and the younger you start, the wiser your future self becomes. Remember this. Live for meaning, not for recognition. Start now, because your time is the one thing no one will ever give back.